Kanye's new album has been targeted by censorship. That's not surprising due to his controversial nature. So Vultures was removed from Apple Music yesterday, and this happened while we were live. I didn't have time to see it. But they removed it from Apple Music because the distributor named Fuga was working to remove it from all streaming services, and they wouldn't really explain why, other than they made an agreement that they would not be distributing Vultures 1, and then they went around them through the platform's automated processes, violating their service agreement. So it got removed from Apple Music briefly, and then it was reinstated because Kanye found a new distributor with Label Engine pretty quickly.
Wow. Yeah.
But the copyright struggles with this album have also been hampering it. They removed one of the songs from Spotify, or at least it's not playable because of the Donna Summer estate making a complaint. He's using samples without permission. But, you know, interestingly, he did ask for permission for those snippets of Ozzy Osbourne and Donna Summer. They just said no, and he was like, I'm going to do it anyway.
We were talking before the show about the role that music labels play in getting artists, you know, their place, right? And why we talk a lot about how a lot of people feel like the labels take too much money from the cut, and that's certainly a fair argument to make. It's a pretty common thing for people to talk about where art and commerce meets and what the split should be like, and all of these labels are known to have really, really bad deals, awful contracts, but the troubles that Kanye is going through right now highlight exactly what these labels do well, which is build out the infrastructure around the art. Right? Everything that's happened between all of the technical issues at his Vultures listening parties to trouble with distributors are all things that you pay to have the
He's
label
not
take
able to
care
book
of.
venues for touring on this album because they don't want to be associated with him, and he doesn't have a record label anymore. They dropped him, so he has to advocate for himself. But what are your thoughts on Kanye and and all the stuff he's been saying for the past couple of years? Does he maybe deserve some pushback? I know you're a big free speech advocate,
Yes.
so it's like difficult.
You know, he's gonna say what he wants to say. I think he did come out and apologize, right, for all of this.
He released an apology, in Hebrew, but then he released the record anyway, which has a lot of references to Jews in song lyrics, and it's iffy whether or not that apology was sincere.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Should he?
He's
have
obviously
to?
very talented, and I don't. You know, it's people like his music. So.
Do you think it's reasonable to expect him to apologize?
I guess so. I mean, he did, didn't he? So I think he wanted to say something. He wanted to apologize in some aspect, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just difficult because, I mean, you don't really know what's on someone's conscience.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually when celebrities apologize for doing problematic things or making problematic comments, it's written by a PR agent.
Right. Well, Kanye does seem like a you know, he's a you know, he's a fool in the culture, and what I mean by that is like these people that are able to, you know, we should watch our jesters, you know, in the culture, and these people that are able to, like, you know, change how we view society. Kanye's definitely one of those. He's one of those characters where you don't really know which way he's going. He's super Christian, and then at the same time now all of his stuff is like very raunchy and like he's a paradox, you know. But watch the fools for sure.
Getting a lot of pushback for involving North, his daughter. She's 10 years old, and she has a feature on this album, and she's allowed to listen to it in full, and it obviously has a lot of raunchy sexual lyrics and profanity in it.
This is what I mean, you know, he's kind of like...
Kim was getting pushback recently because North posted this TikTok where she posted a screenshot of her diary. North wrote in her diary, "What are 3 things you're grateful for today? I'm grateful for the Vultures 1 album because it's insanely good. I'm also grateful for the Black Vulture because if Vultures weren't alive, this amazing album wouldn't have come out. And lastly, I'm grateful for the song Carnival," which is currently, I think, the most controversial song on the album, where he name checks Taylor Swift and he compares himself to Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and P. Diddy. All of these people have been Me Too'd. But most disturbing is that at the bottom of the page, she drew a rendition of his Vultures album cover, where, if you don't know, he's standing there next to Bianca, his new wife, who is, she's facing away from the camera and her whole ass is out, and she's wearing a loincloth.
Yeah.
And North drew that on the page.
Yeah.
Do you want to show it?
No, I don't have that pulled up right now. I have.
It's fine.
I have the original, but yeah, it was. But
it's weird.
My bigger problem is that she's writing a journal in just a regular notebook. Got to get him an actual journal.
I just don't think it's right to expose your kid to that kind of language and imagery.
Yeah.
To be honest, and you're a dad. Like, you get where I'm coming from with that sentiment, right?
Yeah.
Like, he has her at this listening party on stage with these rappers, and everyone's drinking and rapping these insane lyrics that are sexual in nature, and it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. It seems hypocritical, because he always was pushing back on Kim's parenting, and Kim is the one who's trying to sexualize North. Kim is exposing her to all these things.
He said that a bunch.
Bad influences.
Right. Yeah.
And now you're not being exactly a very good influence.
No,
that's what I mean. He's a trickster figure. He's got,
if he's a court jester, who's the king?
Well, the king. Well, it's not even that. It's like Carl Jung. You know, Carl Jung is. He talked about how the fool, or that trickster figure, is like the precursor to, the savior, I guess, if you want to. That's
the
what
Antichrist?
Jung said. Well, it's like, and Peterson talks about this too. You have to be a fool to advance. You have to, act like you don't know anything, or kind of like go against everything to advance yourself. You have to come in humbly. And I think Kanye is just one of those figures where it's like, we don't know, especially the song's called Carnival. It's like, that's what we live in now. Clown world. It's like, he's kind of like playing with that imagery of like, the whole culture is upside down. And he's kind of, he's embodying that, it seems like.
That's a good point. But so do you think that the crazy is all an act? Or is it genuine?
I don't know. Like you were saying earlier, it's sounds like maybe it's an act, but maybe that, I don't know. It's too like, he says he's like super Christian one day, and then he's like doing this stuff, and then he says he's apologizing, but he's not, and he's like doing, so I don't know.
It's about keeping us guessing.
I guess. I'm not sure, but he's
never
definitely
know his next move.
He's definitely, maybe he's trying to be so crazy to where we're like, okay, enough with the clown world and all this stuff. We need to go back to normality.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's the way it is.
I also wanted to talk about this story about Modest Yahoo, who is having trouble getting venues right now in Santa Fe. And it's because staff at these venues are boycotting their events because they're outspokenly pro-Israel. They're a Jewish band.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they can't even cover up for this on their own dime. He posted a story on Instagram saying, the venue tonight in Santa Fe has canceled our sold-out show without our permission. We fought to prevent that from happening, but they're saying they don't have enough staff. We're sorry to everyone that had tickets, and we'll be back. But then he followed it up saying, my band and I should have played a sold-out show at Santa Fe last night, and we were excited for tonight's show at the Rialto Theater in Tucson. Instead, the staff at these venues refused to come to work, forcing cancellations. Without our permission or approval, the venue misinformed our fans that they were canceling the show due to security concerns, when the only concern was a group of staff unwilling to work my show. We've offered to supplement their staff shortages on our own dime, but to no avail. They do this because they're either anti-Semitic or have confused their empathy for the Palestinian people with hatred for someone like me who holds empathy for both Israelis and Palestinians. It's truly a sad day when dialogue with those you disagree with is abandoned for hate-mongering and silencing artistic expression.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
It's terrible. I think I don't know. I think it's very sad. Try doing Try doing that with any other minority. Like they wouldn't do that, you know.
We're boycotting Beyonce.
You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't do that with any other. Yeah,
How
they
do
wouldn't
these
do that with
people
any
keep
other
their
people.
jobs?
Yeah, it's terrible.
The security staff is who I assume are boycotting, right?
Not necessarily security. It could be anyone, any part of that venue that's being hired at that night, right? Any employee for any part of the venue.
I saw him play in New York a couple months ago, like not that long ago. He was really good.
Yeah,
he was really good.
It's sad. It's the type of thing where I don't think this would have happened 15 years ago.
No.
Like I don't think this would have happened at whatever other time our culture has been this politically polarized. I don't see this being something that would have actually happened.
Yeah.
I'm seeing responses from all sides of the fence. They're saying if someone refuses to work with you for being Jewish, they're anti-Semitic scum. And then the next response says, F off, you coward and liar. You've said nothing about Palestine and you regurgitate Zionist propaganda, even playing a show in Israel while a few miles away the Palestinians are killed and dispossessed en masse. Long live workers' solidarity. And those workers are the ones who work at a venue in uber liberal Santa Fe. I don't know what to make of it.
That's that's 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of Marxist indoctrination in your colleges coming home to roost, my friends.
Yeah, I grew up in conservative red state Texas where they were, especially in the church I grew up in was always very pro-Israel, so I grew up around a lot of that.
Jeff Gann says Republicans canceled the Dixie Chicks. Where the F y'all been? Did venues get canceled?
When did Republicans?
Yeah, they did.
They
They
did.
hated George Bush.
Yeah, they did
They
it.
hated
George Bush.
Yeah, they smashed George Bush.
Did they lose out on venues for doing that? Is that I don't know if that's true or not. But
It's not that they lost of it, but it's like you attacked your fan base.
Yeah.
You know, your fan base are all Southern people who like George Bush, and when you disrespect George Bush, you're not.
Yeah, I think this
no
is
one's gonna come
different
see you
because
play. You know,
I don't know. Are the people going to see Madas Yahu?
right?
All
People are
Zionists?
coming to see him. Right. Well, yeah. I
Are
don't
they
know.
are his fans all politically pro-Israel, or is this just an assumption that they're making?
Yeah.
that would be an assumption that they're making.
I
think that's
highly
right.
doubt that any of the
10 years
people
ago-
who bought tickets even know what this guy thinks about these issues, right?
Yeah.
Would I be wrong in
I-
assuming that? I don't know. I'm not familiar with this guy and his.
You don't know
what he's
Madas Yahu?
posting. I mean, I don't follow him on social media, so I don't know what posts they're mad about. Is the thing.
He's makes such kumbaya music too.
Does.
That's the funniest part about it is his music is very is something that should bring you together and not divide
Yes.
you. That's the saddest part about this.
They hated Bob Marley because he just wanted us all to get along.
That's exactly.
They-
It was
just
a
don't
CIA
worry and be happy.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's why they hated Bob Marley.
Yeah, that's seeing stuff like this to an artist who very clearly, like, I guess what they're saying is like he played a show for Israeli troops, which automatically makes him a political figure in their eyes.
You're right.
Even if the music does not represent that. I
Sure.
wouldn't have called the wrestlers who went and did like tribute for the troops at WWE political figures either if they were going to perform under a certain presidential administration that was controlling the troops in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Right.
Like
Yeah, I
that.
think
So,
like
don't know.
even someone like Kathy Griffin, she did comedy shows for the military in Afghanistan, if I recall correctly, and that doesn't mean that she's like pro-war.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything about her political stance.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. These are the same people that say, let people enjoy things.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.